praying by now you've heard about this young lady, Tessica Brown. She confessed on TikTok that instead of using got-to-be glued styling spray on her hair, she used Gorilla Glue spray adhesive.
She got herself in a sticky situation.
Rim shot.
Thanks.
Yeah. So she went on to say that she tried to wash her hair 15 times. It has not moved. The folks from Gorilla Glue reached out to her to try to offer her some help. She went to the hospital over the weekend. Still, it stuck. We're talking to Dr. Meena Singh from KMC Hair Center about this awful situation. Dr. Singh, what can she do, if anything?
Yes, I just feel awful for her. I really feel that it took a lot of courage to be vulnerable and share the story publicly. And I do not think it's funny whatsoever. I think as Black women, hair has such a stigma. It's our crown. And we do feel the need to make sure that our hair is perfectly laid at all times. I wish we would come away from that a little bit, because that's probably what enticed her to use that alternative instead of her got-to-be. So it's a little disconcerting that her hair hasn't moved in over a month. Usually our hair grows monthly, and the fact that it hasn't grown at all or budged is disconcerting, because that may mean that the hair follicles are lacking oxygen to the area, and she definitely may be experiencing some follicular damage after this is done. Most people are recommending applying acetone, because the acetone will slowly dissolve those bonds of the glue. I know she has already attempted that, but I feel that she should be saturating her scalp every single day with the acetone. We use it all the time on the skin, so it is safe. It might be slightly irritating, but acetone is also what's in nail polish remover, so it's really good at dissolving some of those bonds. Also, she should be pairing that with an emollient moisturizer, so she can use curl creams, she can use oils, but she needs to be saturating that hair with emollient moisturizers as well to try to break up those bonds. But yeah, I really feel for her.
I will say that I am a user of at-home remedies. Dr. Singh, with your patients, how often do women come in and you have to fix these kind of problems?
I don't discourage use of at-home anything as long as it's not harmful, right? So there are a lot of things that we can do on our hair and on our skin that aren't harmful, that are natural, such as a lot of the essential oils that people like to use. But the problem is we don't always know exactly what's in those bottles, right? When you get something that's prescription, we know what's in it. When you get something that's either made at home or bought from Amazon or something like that. And often things like essential oils and some of the natural ingredients that we like are very common allergens. And so I see a lot of contact dermatitis or allergic reactions to these at-home remedies. But overall, I love all of the juices and berries. I'm a huge fan of that, but I don't have irritated skin. I don't have problems with allergies. So again, I have no problem with it. Whatever works for my patients, as long as it's not harmful. I don't recommend products unless there's evidence-based trials on those, right? So unless they've been trialed on large populations and there's evidence that is effective, that's the only ones that I will recommend.
We're talking to dermatologist Dr. Meena Singh about Tessica Brown. She used Gorilla Glue spray adhesive in her hair, and she's been going through a time trying to get it off. Julie Jones and I were talking off the air about this, and she brought up a point that I didn't even consider. Could that spray adhesive go through her scalp and harm her body inside?
There is evidence that what we apply to our scalp does absorb into the scalp skin and can absorb into the blood and be secreted through our urine. We know this because we're finding certain harmful chemicals from our hair care products in our bloodstream and urine. There are studies that show that Black women in particular have a higher concentration of these chemicals compared to every other demographic. So the possibility is there, but usually you have to be applying a certain chemical repetitively for it to absorb into the skin. She only, I believe, applied it the once, and I think it's just been sitting on top of her hair, and hopefully she has some new growth underneath it so it's not actually touching the scalp, but there is a risk for that, and I do feel that she's lacking oxygen to the scalp as well, and that some of those hair follicles may be occluded, which can cause inflammation. The inflammation can make the hair break off and fall out as well.
From a men's perspective, talking to two Black women, we don't recognize or understand the type of pressure that y'all under. And I think that this speaks volumes about what y'all go through in the workplace, whether it's out on the street, for this young lady to go to this extreme, to get your hair laid down.
I completely agree. I do feel that there's a pressure for us not to have a frizzy frontal hairline or edges, to make sure that our hair is laid down so it's not considered unkempt. I know that when I was in my training, I struggled with that because I'd like to wear my hair in a messy bun when I'm in surgery. But my messy bun looks completely different to those who have straight hair, right? So, we have to do more to make it look more professional. And again, I agree. I do not want to shame this woman. I do not think it's funny. I think she was trying to adhere to beauty standards that a lot of us have bought into. But unfortunately, we are doing things that are harmful to our scalp that may lead to permanent irreversible damage to her hair follicles just so that she can attain this look.
Dr. Meena Singh, KMC Hair Center, we had you on a couple of years ago talking about the edges, and child, that show was a #1 winner. So we've got to book you again to talk some more about this. Brian, as you said, this is something that people need to have an understanding of, especially with the Crown Act that was passed in Kansas City, and now they're moving it to Kansas. We've got to make sure that the voices of Black women are being heard about their hair.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. This is a sore subject, and I just feel awful for her. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Meena Singh. Have a good one.
You too.